Hi Year 6 and welcome to Thursday's English lesson. If you are tuning into today's lesson but you didn't watch yesterday's lesson, then you're going to need to go back and find that because we are in the middle of writing a story. This lesson is going to talk you through plot point 2 of your story, and yesterday's video taught you through plot point 1. So if you didn't look at yesterday's video, stop this one here, go back and do yesterday's and come to this again. They'll all be saved on the website for the whole week in case you missed them. So, if you did do plot point 1 yesterday, you will have already written your first section of your story, your first paragraph about the present day. Now, I loved reading all the ones that came in yesterday. Keep them coming in, or if you're waiting to send the final story, then no worries. I look forward to seeing that when it's finished. Remember, we are writing the story of Stanley's crime as a flashback. So we started yesterday with Stanley in Camp Green Lake thinking back. And you either had him maybe inside Camp Green Lake in his cot at night thinking, or you might have had him standing outside. You decided where you were going to put him and you wrote your first plot point. Today, we begin our flashback. So we are going to now tell the story that happened in the past of Stanley stealing, because he says he didn't steal them, but of Stanley being accused of stealing the shoes. Now, plot point 2 is the morning that he was arrested. Now, we know from our extract that he got arrested after a day at school. So in the morning, it's just going to be like any normal morning. He doesn't necessarily know that anything's going to go wrong. So that's all we are writing. He's not stealing anything yet. The theft is plot point 3, which we'll come to in the next lesson. So today is just plot point 2. Okay, so we're flashing back. It's the morning of the crime, but we don't get to the crime yet. Remember, just like when we do this in school, you're going to have a minimum of 3 sentences. There's going to be 3 skills. The bare minimum is 3 sentences in each chunk, but you can challenge yourself to deepen the moment and use another skill from the writing rainbow if you can. Let's have a look at the skills. So, split your page into 3, just like you did yesterday and just like we do at school. Our 3 skills today are these, and you will recognise them because we have used them before. Skill 1 is pathetic fallacy, skill 2 is simile, and skill 3 is the imagining or the inner thought of the character. So set up your page like that, pause me if you need to, and then move on once you have set up your page with your 3 thinking spaces. Okay, first off then, pathetic fallacy. Can you remember what pathetic fallacy is? Pathetic fallacy refers to the weather mirroring a character's emotions. It's a little bit like personification, but you are giving the weather, for example, rain, human emotions. So where we're talking about rain, you might say the clouds wept. You use pathetic fallacy to create atmosphere where the weather and the emotions of the weather mirrors how our character is feeling. So, for example, the thunder was growling aggressively. The clouds were crying. The sun was heartbroken. Okay, so you're going to think how you want your story to feel, and you're going to brainstorm in that thinking box some ideas for pathetic fallacy. So pause the video and have a few moments to fill your thinking box under pathetic fallacy with as many ideas as you can and come back when you're ready. Okay, so hopefully your thinking box looks a little bit like this. I have got a modelled example sentence for pathetic fallacy, which I will read to you now. On the morning of that fateful day, comma, Stanley awoke to birds screeching and the clouds crying thick, moist tears. Okay, so I'm using pathetic fallacy to have the clouds crying. I'm setting up for something happening that day. So that's my sentence, and now it's your turn to write your own pathetic fallacy sentence. Remember, in school, we give you 10 minutes to write. So give yourself a minimum of 5 and a maximum of 10. You can pinch the structure of my sentence and just change some of the words for your thinking ideas, or you can write completely your own. If you find that 10 minutes is a lot of time for you, then challenge yourself to use another skill from the rainbow. And after 10 minutes, stop writing and resume this video for your next skill. Okay, skill 2 then is writing a simile. Can you remember what a simile is? So a simile is where you're comparing two things and you are using like or as. So, as cool as a cucumber, as tough as nails, as down as a lead balloon. Okay, I want you to think of similes in your thinking box that will describe how Stanley is feeling. So Stanley could be feeling fine. Nothing bad has happened yet. How's Stanley feeling? He's going to go to school for a normal day at the moment, or he might be in a down mood. It's up to you. You need to decide which direction your story is going in. Are you taking the character through negative emotion or positive emotion? You need to find a simile that will fit. Oh, sorry. So spend a little bit of time now on your thinking side, doing your simile, and come back when that's finished. Pause me and come back. Okay. Hopefully you've popped some ideas up there. I am going to continue on from the bit that I wrote, and I've got a modelled sentence for simile, so have a look at this. The weather didn't bother Stanley. He was used to dealing with bad luck and felt as cool as a cucumber that Monday morning. Okay, so it's got its simile right in there to say how he was feeling. We're still the morning of, we haven't gone any further. Okay, we're in the same plot point. So now it's your turn to have a go. Again, minimum of 5, maximum of 10. Pause the video, get writing, make sure you include a simile in there. And if you've got enough time, challenge yourself to use a different skill from the rainbow as well. Great, let's move on to our third skill then. So the last one is the thoughts, the inner thought of our character. Okay, so we're going to think about punctuating them as we write with an inverted comma, a little bit like speech. You're going to gather first ideas in your thinking space of what Stanley might be thinking. Now, he's going to be probably having just some very normal thoughts. Nothing out of the ordinary has happened yet. So think of what you might think on your way to school on a morning, on a normal day. What might you think? So some examples here. I can't wait to get to school. I wonder what's for lunch. What's going to go wrong today? Remember, Stanley's quite an unlucky character, isn't he? So pause me, spend a moment gathering the ideas in your last thinking box for what Stanley could be thinking at this moment in the story. Well done. Hopefully you've got lots of ideas in your third box. This is my modelled sentence for the thought. As he began his usual morning routine, an innocent thought popped into his head. What's for lunch? He wondered. Now see that I've got that one inverted comma. It's a little bit like speech, but it's 1 instead of 2. Okay, so make sure yours looks like that when you write it. It's now your turn to use your thinking space to turn it into a sentence or a few sentences. Just like the last 2 chunks, give yourself a minimum of 5, maximum of 10. Pause me. If you've got lots of time, then think of some of those other skills that you can use. Remember all the ideas like feeling and hearing, action, okay? But do not move on. So we're still in the morning. We're not getting to any crime yet. Give yourself 10 minutes and then come back. Fab, well done Year 6. So you have written now another plot point. Plot point 3 is coming on Monday, so make sure if you are following this story, you come back to the lesson on Monday to do our third plot point. Well done, bye-bye.